Have you ever wondered how 3 days could change the course of American history? This is the story of the Battle of Gettysburg, a pivotal conflict in the American Civil War. It was here that the Union and Confederate forces clashed in a brutal struggle, forever shaping the destiny of a nation. Key figures like General Robert E. Lee and General George Meade played their parts in this dramatic narrative. Now, imagine the year 1863, the heart of the Civil War. Day 1, July 1st, 1863, an encounter that started as a mere skirmish. The day began with Confederate soldiers, under the command of General Robert E. Lee, engaging in a small-scale clash with Union cavalry at the outskirts of Gettysburg. As the hours passed, the intensity of the battle escalated. The Confederates, determined and relentless, pushed against the Union forces with a force that was both formidable and unyielding. The Union forces, under the command of General John Buford, fought valiantly, but found themselves steadily losing ground. By the afternoon, the Confederates had gained control of the town, yet, in the face of adversity, the Union forces displayed remarkable resilience. They pulled back to Cemetery Hill, a strategic location on the battlefield that offered them a defensive advantage. The day had been long and arduous, filled with the echoes of cannon fire and the cries of fallen soldiers. As the sun set on the first day, the Union forces held their ground. Day 2, July 2nd, 1863, a day of heavy losses and crucial decisions. As dawn broke on this fateful day, the Confederates, under the command of General Robert E. Lee, initiated a series of attacks on both flanks of the Union line. The aim was clear: to dislodge the Union forces from their positions and seize control of the battlefield. The Union forces, however, were not to be easily ousted. Despite being outnumbered, they held their ground with a tenacity that would come to define this bloody conflict. The Union, led by Major General George G. Meade, bore the brunt of the Confederate onslaught. On the left flank, the Union held firm as wave after wave of Confederate soldiers hurled themselves at their lines. On the right, the situation was no less dire, as the Union forces fought tooth and nail to maintain their position. Throughout the day, the Union forces managed to hold off the Confederates, despite suffering heavy losses. There was no time for respite. Every soldier knew the importance of their task, the significance of their stand. Their fishhook line, a formation shaped like a fishhook, proved to be a formidable defensive strategy, frustrating the Confederates' plans. As the sun set, the battlefield was littered with the fallen, a grim testament to the day's ferocity. But the Union's fishhook line held firm, and the Confederates retreated, preparing for their final assault. Day 3, July 3rd, 1863. The day of the infamous Pickett's Charge. As the sun rose over the fields of Gettysburg, the Confederates, under the command of General Robert E. Lee, launched an all-out assault. This audacious move, known as Pickett's Charge, was a desperate attempt to break the Union line. About 15,000 men marched across an open field, under heavy artillery and rifle fire. It was a sight both awe-inspiring and horrifying. Despite the courage and determination of these men, the Union forces, under the leadership of General George G. Meade, were ready. They repelled the Confederate forces with a devastating counterattack. This marked a significant turning point in the Civil War, as the Confederates suffered heavy losses and were forced to retreat. The Battle of Gettysburg ended with a decisive victory for the Union, but the cost was immense. The fields were strewn with the casualties of war, a haunting testament to the ferocity of this pivotal battle. In the aftermath of those 3 fateful days, the landscape of Gettysburg bore witness to the staggering cost of conflict. The Battle of Gettysburg, often termed as the turning point of the Civil War, left an indelible mark on the nation's psyche. Both sides faced heavy losses. The Union and Confederacy combined lost over 50,000 men, a testament to the ferocity and intensity of the battle. This monumental event held great significance, not just for its tactical implications, but for the profound social and political impact it had. It was here on this battleground that President Abraham Lincoln delivered his famed Gettysburg Address. In a few succinct words, he honored the fallen, reaffirmed the cause of the Union, and laid out his vision for a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. The Battle of Gettysburg, a pivotal moment etched in the annals of American history, reminds us of the cost of division and the value of unity.